just head on over to SuperTalk TV. And even though the weather is not chilly outside anymore, although that's probably coming back, we're all rushing out to maybe Springify, is that a word, for our gardens and our yards. But is it time? Should we be doing that? Joining us today is Gary Bachman. He's a horticulturist and an urban homesteader on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, and he's going to set us straight. Hey, Gary.
Hey, Rebecca, how in the heck are you today?
I'm doing good. Is Springify a word? Can we put that in the English dictionary?
Springify is definitely a word that we all should be using this time of year because the gardeners I talk to, they're ready to springify.
They are ready. I'm ready to springify. I feel like you get a little bit of those warm days and you just feel like the calendar turns to March and it's like full force. Easter's coming early this year and there's plants you want to put out, ferns you want to buy, all these things. And then you have to pump the brakes a little bit and think and remind yourself, this is Mississippi. Am I rushing things or are we at a good time to move full steam ahead with our spring and summer, vegetables as well as plants?
Oh, sure. Now, I'll tell you, I have already sown my tomato seeds. They're not going yet. I mean, what we have to do is realize that if I'm here on the coast, if we were to plant March 15th, March 15th, there's still a % chance of a frost. So you move up into the Jackson area, that's probably March 20th, 21st. There's still, it's still 50-50 cold weather. Doesn't mean that you don't go out and you buy those ferns and you buy some of those other plants, but, just be prepared. They may have to be brought in. They may have to be covered up. I mean, that's the chance we take.
So, but the things, though, that maybe you're putting in the ground, I know you do your tomatoes, if I remember correctly, maybe in pots or in things, and then you transplant them. But so right now, if there's anything that can be brought into safety or wrapped, we would be good. But I guess even if you put something in the ground, could you still cover it if we had a light frost?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's kind of, the chance that gardeners take, and it's really it's the competition. Who's going to get that first tomato in the neighborhood? You know what I mean? And so those people they're I know folks up in Jackson area. I was just at Buds and Blooms in Brookhaven this past weekend. They already have tomatoes in the ground. But they understand they may have to, provide some protection, but they're counting on that we're not going to have any more frosts and freezes. We won't have any freezes, but maybe not have a frost. If that's what that's what you're counting on if you're planting now.
So, Gary, my pawpaw, God rest his soul, was an avid gardener. Him and my mama, they used their garden to supplement their income. They were one that really relied heavily on it all those years. Well, until they probably shouldn't have been doing it, weren't able to do it as well as they should, but they still. But he lived and died by, you did not plant your garden, at least, because they had like a big tilled up area in the back. They didn't do seedlings and then put in, but until after Good Friday or after, because of this very reason. But as I get older, I realize that, man, Easter is like a moving target. I mean, it can be in April. That's in March this year. Is that even a wise tale that you could halfway live by, or does it just really depend?
Planting on Good Friday, that's one of those tales. Probably works maybe 2 times out of 10 because of the way that Easter falls. And a lot of people don't understand why does Easter move around like that. And and it's because Easter falls on the first Sunday after the first full moon after the spring equinox. And so this year, Good Friday is going to be right after that full moon. I tell folks, plant Good Friday this year. We're going to talk about that in other avenues later on this month. But Good Friday is a great time to plant this year. Maybe not next year.
Maybe not next year, but this year it's looking like a good time to plant. And so is that?
I am.
Go ahead, Gary.
I'm making the recommendation. We plant on Good Friday this year. I'm planning on Good Friday. I usually don't do that, but that falls real close to my normal date, so I'm gonna go ahead and be putting plants in pots.
So you do plants in pots. So I have actually come across, I think they're called planter bags. So it's like
Sure.
pots, but I guess they're cloth.
Right.
Obviously, very novice to this. Last year I tried my potted plants, and then they didn't seem, they were beautiful to look at, but produce very little. So anywho, I was trying something different this year. I have them
Yeah.
coming my
Yeah.
way. What's the pros and cons to doing them in the little bags versus in the pots?
I think the bags give you a little more, if you want to say, air exchange into that the potting mix. Basically, there's not a big difference between that grow bag and a big container. You're still going to use the same kind of mix, the professional growing mix. You're not going to want to put dirt in a bag. And that you're going to have to use a container mix, and it's still the same considerations. I've grown in bags and had good success. I just like growing in pots. I mean, it's just a preference thing, but you can be just as successful in those grow bags.
I always blame it on you have to have the new and trendy thing. I'm that person, right? And so, and it's probably not new or trendy. It's just new and trendy to me, Gary. And it's one more way for me to say, oh, that's why it didn't grow last year. It's because I didn't have it in a bag. And so, marking everything sort of off my list. But in terms go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, grow bags are the trendy thing. The nursery industry has been using bags like that for 30 years in commercial production. So, that's all that is. Gardeners have heard, well, I can grow in a bag. Let's go ahead and do that.
Gary, we have a text on our C Spire text line. Jeff in Pontotoc said, in North Mississippi, his daddy used to plant Irish potatoes on Valentine's Day.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I think, a crop like potatoes, that's a little different than when we're thinking about putting tomatoes in the ground. And to tell you the truth, I just planted potatoes this morning. So maybe I'm a little bit behind Pontotoc, but I finally got around to it today. So we're going to have a late crop of potatoes.
There's nothing better than homegrown tomatoes, yes, but also potatoes roasted in the oven or mashed. Yep. I had a neighbor who was kind enough to give me some of theirs, and I thought, man, these are the best potatoes I've ever had, in my life. Let's talk about what flowers. What if we are? Is it good to buy my ferns now? What should I be putting on my front porch?
Go ahead, buy your ferns now. Like I said, I was at Buds and Bloom past weekend. The gardens are full and loaded with great selections of ferns now. So buy those. And if it does get a little chilly, those are easy enough to unhook and bring them inside for a day. But the selection of ferns is fantastic now. Some of the other, I want to say, spring flowers, dianthus, good. There's, African daisies were looking good this past weekend. Lot of hanging baskets, the flowering baskets, the garden centers have. And again, like the ferns, you get a nice flowering hanging basket. Gets cool, bring it inside. No harm done, and put it back out when it warms up.
And remind us, Gary, how important it is to visit our local lawn and garden places for all of our planting needs, no matter where we are in the state.
The local folks, our local independent garden centers, are a wealth of information. They're going to give you better service. A lot of them don't grow all their own plants. I mean, the big box stores don't grow their own plants. But the small garden centers, if you've got an idea that you want to plant, more than likely they'll be able to source one for you. And so, these are our friends and our neighbors. And, 100% of their business comes from selling plants, to gardeners. You can't say that for big box stores. I'm not knocking the big box stores, but the garden centers are almost like the, way to get you in the door, so you go buy some of the other stuff, the home improvement stuff.
Well, Gary, I always appreciate your time here on Good Things. I will get my garden planted, and we will keep you posted. How about that?
Hey, listen, be fantastic to do that. Send me pictures, ask advice like you always do every summer. And I'm always willing to give you a hand.
All righty, well, we appreciate you. You guys stick with us. We got more for you coming up next.